أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ثم الصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وأصحابه الأخيار أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. We are all welcome to our Arabic grammar lessons with An-Nahul Wadih, and inshallah we are on Al-Fi'l Al-Lazim wal-Fi'l Al-Muta'addi. We are still on the Sarfiyat, we are still learning the Sarf, that is morphology. So let's pay much attention to this. I keep repeating that we are still doing Sarf so that at least you differentiate the grammar from the Sarf. You know that you've started Sarf, because there are certain people, after a long time of teaching Arab, going through Mubtada, Khabar, doing the Arab of each, the person still comes and asks you, what is Arab? How do we do Arab? Okay, can you teach Arab? Bimana, the person didn't really pay attention to what you were doing as Arab. Okay, so that is why I keep repeating that this is Sarf, this is that, so that at least we can categorize it. If you are making a note or something, you know that you categorize it as Sarf. Okay, so we are on morphology. It says Al-Fi'l Al-Lazim wal-Fi'l Al-Muta'addi. When we say Al-Fi'l Al-Lazim, that is the intransitive verb. And Al-Fi'l Al-Muta'addi is the transitive verb. What do we mean by intransitive and transitive? You know, you've already learned Jumla Ismiyah, you've learned Jumla Fi'liyah. In your Jumla Fi'liyah, you've learned that when a verb, Jumla Fi'liyah can be made up of a fi'l and a fa'il. That can make a complete Jumla Fi'liyah. And also Jumla Fi'liyah can also be made up of fi'l, fa'il, and a maf'ul, either maf'ul bihi or whatever maf'ul that will follow it. So knowing that when you get a fi'l that becomes complete by just the mention of its fa'il, that fi'l is called lazim, al-fi'l al-lazim. أي يكون المعنى كاملا بذكر الفاعل. Okay, بذكر فاعل الفعل. So the meaning becomes complete by mentioning the fa'il or by mentioning the doer of the verb. Such a verb is called al-fi'l al-lazim, that is an intransitive verb. But then when you mention a verb and then you mention its fa'il and it still requires an object to be complete, it still requires a maf'ul to be complete, we call such a verb al-fi'l al-muta'addi, that is the intransitive, that is the transitive verb. What do we mean by the alfaz, lazim and ta'addi in language? When we say lazim in language, it means something that is necessity, that is a necessity, lazim. Okay, so when we say lazim, that is the something that you are stick to, a tradition. Okay, so إذا لزم شخص شيئا يكون هذا الشيء لازمه أو لازمه. This thing becomes something that is a lazim for him. Okay, so whenever you mention a fi'l, of course the fa'il is lazim, you require your fa'il. We can't have a verb and just maf'ul bihi, you definitely need a fa'il. Whether it is fa'il or na'ibul fa'il, it is fa'il. Okay, so when we say you mention a verb and you mention the fa'il and the meaning is complete, that is a verb that is lazim. But when a verb is ta'addi, okay, muta'addi, the verb muta'addi is coming from ta'adda. Okay, ta'adda means to cross a boundary. Ta'adda means to cross a limit, to cross a boundary. So when you look in the Quran, you can quickly check Surah Al-Baqarah verse number 229, you find the word towards the, just some two examples so that you can check out the word. Towards the end of the Surah Al-Baqarah verse number 229, you find that تِلْكَ حُدُودُ اللَّهِ فَلَا تَعْتَدُوهَا. Those are the limits of Allah, so do not exceed them. تَعْتَدُوهَا. The verb is اعتدى. Okay, and then here he says وَمَنْ يَتَعَدَّ. You see the ta'adda. وَمَنْ يَتَعَدَّ حُدُودَ اللَّهِ فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الظَّالِمُونَ. And whoever exceeds the limits of Allah, those are the unjust. Okay, you check again Surah At-Talaq, that is chapter number 65, verse number 56, I believe, verse number 1. Verse number 1. When you come towards the end, same way, it says that وَتِلْكَ حُدُودُ اللَّهِ وَمَنْ يَتَعَدَّ حُدُودَ اللَّهِ فَقَدْ ظَلَمَ نَفْسَهُ. Okay, so whoever exceeds the limits of Allah. So the verb ta'adda has the means to exceed something, to cross something. Okay, now he says that al-fi'l al-muta'addi bimana a verb that crosses a limit. The limit is what is the lazim, what the verb is known for, which is the fa'il. Now when a verb crosses the fa'il, and it requires a maf'ulun bihi, it requires an object, then we call that verb al-fi'l al-muta'addi. We see all those in the sharh. It says that تفتح الزهر, the flower has blossomed. تفتح bimana it has opened up, and that is blossoming. The flower has blossomed. Then we see ثار الغبار, the dust has risen. Dust, D-U-S-T, we know this word already. فاض النهر, فاض means to overflow, to flood. So the river flooded, the river overflowed. حبت الريح, حبت الريح, the wind blew. When we say حبت الريح, بمعنى the wind blew. As you can see in the Al-Burda, the Burda of Imam Busiri, when you look just from the first chapter, which is the Shaq wal Gharam, I guess, and then it says that Am habbat rihu min tilqa'i kazimatin. You find the word there. Habba bimana to blow. It says habbat rihu, the wind blew. Now when you look at all these sentences, you realize that they all are complete. This category, you find that the verb and its fa'il, verb fa'il, verb fa'il, verb fa'il. So you have fi'il fa'il, jumla fi'liya. These are complete, they give complete meanings. And so we call these kind of verbs, these verbs that we have here, tafattaha, thara, fada, habba, we call them al-af'al al-lazima. Okay, now let's look at this chamber. He says, Tawa al-khadimu al-thawba, the servant folded the dress. Akala al-tha'alabu dajajatan, the fox ate a chicken. Ballal al-mataru al-arda, the rain wet the earth, or caused the earth to be moistured. Kind of gave it made it wet, basically. Okay, it gave it water. So when you say ballala bimana, to be wet. Ahraqat an-naru al-manazila, the fire burnt buildings. Al-manazila is the plural of manzil. Ahraqa is to burn. Okay, now look at this chamber. You can't have tawal khadimu, the servant folded, and shut your mouth. Definitely there will be follow-up question. What did he fold? You can't have akala tha'alabu. There might be a question after it. Mada akala? What did the tha'alab eat? When you say ballal al-mataru, the rain wet. What did the rain wet? Is it a human being? Is it a dress? Is it a carpet? What did they wet? You'd be asked. Ahraqat an-naru, the fire burnt. It burnt what? You would be asked. So these verbs, they require the maf'ulun bihi to be complete. That is why they do ta'addi. They cross their limit, which is the fa'il. Tawa will have to cross the fa'il to affect another noun here. Akala will also have to cross its fa'il to affect another noun here. The ballala also crosses its fa'il, which is al-matar, to affect the al-arda. Ahraqat has to cross, the effect of ahraqat will have to cross the nar to affect another noun. So yata'adda atharu al-fi'l min raf' al-fa'il ila نصب المفعول. So the effect of the verb crosses just making a noun fa'il, making a noun marfu such that it is fa'il, to affecting another noun and making it mansub such that it becomes the maf'ulun bihi. All these verbs are al-af'al al-muta'addiyah. Jamil? Okay. I have taken my time this way so that it becomes very clear. We are just going to read through the bahth. We've understood everything. البحث says جميع الجمل في القسم الأول مركبة من فعل وفاعل لا غير. Okay, لا غير بمعنى nothing else. The sentences here are made up of فعل and فاعل and nothing else. Says وجميعها في القسم الثاني مركبة من فعل وفاعل ومفعول به. So all the sentences again in this chamber here are made up of fi'l, fa'il and maf'ulun bihi. That is what he indicates for us here. They are made up of fi'lun, fa'ilun, maf'ulun bihi. He says وَلَوْ حَاوَلَ إِنسَانٌ أَنْ يُضِيفَ إِلَى كُلِّ جُمْلَةٍ مِنْ جُمَلِ الْقِسْمِ الْأَوَّلِ مَفْعُولًا بِهِ. If a person tries حاول, attempts, okay, to add أن يضيف, a person tries to add إلى كل جملة, to each sentence, من جمل القسم الأول مفعولا به, if a person tries to add a مفعول به to each of the sentences in this category where it is made up of just fi'l and fa'il, if you attempt adding a مفعول به حتى تصير الجمل في القسمين متشابهة, so that the sentences in the two groups al-qismaini will become alike, أي حتى تصير متشابهة, so that the two will look alike. لوجد أن ذلك غير مستطاع. You would have found out that that is impossible. غير مستطاع is something that is impossible. You cannot do it. So you can't say تفتح الزهر, then you bring a مفعول به. How are you going to fix the مفعول به? ثار الغبار, you can fix مفعول به. فاض النهر, you can fix مفعول به. حبت الريح, you can fix مفعول به. says لأن الأفعال في القسم الأول قاصرة لا يتعدى عملها رفع الفاعل إلى نصب المفعول به. Because the verbs in the first category, they are قاصرة, they are limited. He explains the قاصرة with لا يتعدى. You need to memorize this. الفعل اللازم is a fi'l that is قاصر لا يتعدى عمله رفع الفاعل إلى نصب المفعول به. This is how it says. So the أفعال اللازمة هي الأفعال القاصرة لا يتعدى عملها رفع الفاعل إلى نصب المفعول به. They are verbs that are limited, قاصرة. لا يتعدى عملها, its function does not cross رفع الفاعل, does not cross making a فاعل مرفوع to نصب المفعول به, to making a مفعول به منصوب. So when we say a fi'l is lazim, you just find a noun after it which is marfu, does it. Says وَلِذَلِكَ تُسَمَّى أَفْعَالًا قَاصِرَةً, and so they are called أَفْعَالًا قَاصِرَةً. That is one name, or أفعال لازمة. So we have the two names here. Either you call them أفعال قاصرة or لازمة. He says أما أفعال القسم الثاني, as for the verbs in the second category where the مفعول به is mentioned, says فليست قاصرة, the verbs are not limited. لأن عملها يتعدى رفع الفاعل إلى نصب المفعول به, because its function crosses or exceeds just making a fa'il marfu to also causing another noun to be mansub such that it is the maf'ulun bihi. Says وَلِذَلِكَ تُسَمَّى أَفْعَالًا مُتَعَدِّيَةً, and so they are called أفعال متعدية. متعدية because they exceed the limit which is making just requiring a fa'il. Okay, so we have the two simplified for us here. الفعل ينقسم قسمين لازم ومتعد. A verb is categorized into two parts. two types of verbs. We have verbs that are lazim and verbs that are muta'addin. It is muta'addin here without yai because there is no alif and lam. If you put alif and lam, you say al-muta'addi, just like we say fi'lun madin and al-fi'lul madi. Okay, Jamil. So first know that they are categorized into two types. We have the lazim and the muta'addin. This categorization is based on the effect of the fi'l, because we have different categorization of verbs. You can categorize verbs based on the weakness and strength of the verb. You can categorize them based on the time they refer to madi, mudari, and amr. You can also categorize them based on the effect of the verb. It says al-fi'l al-lazim huwa ma la yansibu al-maf'ul bihi. Al-fi'l al-lazim is the one that does not cause another noun to become mansub as a maf'ul bihi. Wal-fi'l al-muta'addi, look at when alif al-lam was brought here, the yai appears. When alif al-lam goes, the yai will go. Okay, it says wal-fi'l al-muta'addi huwa allazi yansibuhu. And fi'l hu huna bimana al-maf'ul bihi. So والفعل المتعدي هو الذي ينصب المفعول به. Okay, Jamil. This is a very simple topic. Just discuss al-fi'l al-lazim and al-fi'l al-muta'addi. Al-fi'l al-lazim does not require a maf'ul bihi to give a complete meaning. Al-fi'l al-muta'addi requires a maf'ul bihi to be complete. Okay. This brings us to the end of this lesson, beloveds. Do well to like and also do well to share for others to also benefit. I don't know where you are watching us from, but then I'm sure you've benefited a lot following this journey of ours. Inshallah, do well to share for others to also benefit. And if you have any concerns, do well to share it with us in the comment section. Also, subscribe if you've not done so. Till we meet again, have a very good Arabic time. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.